All right, we're live. All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, broadcasting to you live from beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. And today I'm here with my good friends Christina and Chris and Donna and Julia and Catherine, and we're going to be talking about the opinions of others and if they really matter in our lives. And the reason we're talking about this is because we're studying the book Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao by Wayne Dyer, and we are talking about chapter 13 and verse 13 of the Tao Te Ching. And it talks about the opinions of others and having an independent mind. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. But before we get going, I want to make sure that everybody who's watching is over on the right page so you can jump in and add to the discussion. So you just want to visit SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. Again, that is SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. It's all one word. And when you scroll down to the bottom, you can just add your comments and let us know you're hanging out with us. Tell us where you are in the world. And at any point during the conversation is just jump in there and share your thoughts with us. And okay, everybody go ahead and take an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into this conversation. Who wants to jump out first? Christina?
Hey everybody, Christina Irvin here. I'm in Northeast Tennessee and looking forward to this discussion for sure.
Hi everyone, this is Julia Colon and I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I am also looking forward to this discussion.
Okay, I'm unmuted here. Hi, I'm Chris from the Chicago area, and glad to be here.
Hi, this is Catherine in Boulder, Colorado, and looking forward to this discussion today. Thank you for coming.
Donna Allen, Raleigh, North Carolina. Nice to be here and good to see everyone.
Are you there, Jason?
Hey everybody, it's Jason Roberts from St. Petersburg, Florida. It's great to be here also. Good to see everybody. Good morning.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We're glad to have you here. And for those of you who are watching again, please jump over to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. You can add to our discussion. Just let us know where you are in the world. And at any point, feel free to add to our topic or add your thoughts to what we're talking about here. Okay, so who wants to go ahead and read this verse for us this morning? And somebody was saying I sounded scratchy. I apologize for that. I don't know what the deal is. I think Jason was sounding a little scratchy too.
Oh yeah.
Julia, you want to read for us?
Can you hear me okay?
I can read it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read it. Yeah, because Jason sounded a little scratchy to me too, but my internet seems really slow, so I wanted to make sure. All right, let me find it on the page here. So this is verse 13 of the Tao Te Ching. Favor and disgrace seem alarming. High status greatly afflicts your person. Why are favor and disgrace alarming? Seeking favor is degrading, alarming when it is gotten, alarming when it is lost. Why does high status greatly afflict your person? The reason we have a lot of trouble is that we have selves. If we had no selves, what trouble would we have? Man's true self is eternal, yet he thinks, I am this body and will soon die. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of the world. There you go.
Thanks, Catherine. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. When you first read that verse, what was it that came up for you? Who wants to add their thoughts first? Anybody?
I think Donna had a good response on the page. It would probably be one to get us started. If you want to share that, Donna.
Okay. So nobody wants to stop her.
I thought maybe you guys were going to read it there, but because if I might get too little emotional. I get into it, but I just say a few words about it. And it was just about my father. Everybody, when I was this verse covers so many grounds. Growing up, you have a lot of insecurities as a child. That's just kind of what my takeaway was from this, and I'm gonna try not to get too emotional about it. But I'd always, out of the siblings, Daddy would always, when I go around with me, say, "It's just this one here. She's so peculiar. She's just so independent." Well, I didn't quite understand what my daddy was saying to me until one day I approached him there. We were out in the farms working, and I said, "Daddy, I'm not. Why do you call me that? I didn't. Well, if I didn't understand, and seemed like I'd always get in trouble at school if I asked questions. So I had that inferiority or that insecurity of asking questions, but see, I could ask my parents questions, and that just simple thing that he said to me was that's going to be your protector when I'm gone, and it just helped me to be more of my own mind. And I always wonder, well, I just grew up, it just helped me to understand me a lot better, and just a person, a few words, and I take people at face value, and it is true. It's like I see myself in a lot of people. It was almost kind of scary. It's not nothing like, I don't know how, it's just hard to explain it, guys. It was just really something, it's like I could always see things that others couldn't see, and I have a strong now I have a strong intuition, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And now that it actually scared me when I was younger. That was one of my fears, but now I'm embracing that, and I understand what that is now. I totally understand it.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. For me, Samantha, I think I've expressed this entire book. I think most of these chapters confused the heck out of me, and I think could we not have just said this, and it would have been a lot more simple. So in general, the discussion really for me, it comes down to where am I looking for my validation. And if I'm looking for it outside myself, externally from other people, other situations, other things, then of course I'm going to succumb to that negative self-talk. I'm going to succumb to that feeling of inferiority. I'm going to succumb to that downtrodden sort of thing, that energy that we all take on at times. And a lot of times our society really kind of reinforces that notion of having to seek the validation of others rather than looking inwardly for what we have and what we can offer. Hey, Sandy. And so for me, I think the discussion really kind of centers around where am I looking for my validation. And if I'm looking for it externally, if I'm not sure of what my personal worth is, what value I have, regardless of what situation it is, I'm always going to succumb to that negative energy.
I think that's a good point, Christina, is that if you don't know about your own value and your own worth, you look outside yourself for that approval, right? So that kind of brings us to, in my thought process, it kind of brings us over to that whole question of, how important are other people's opinions in your life? And, when is it important to take another person's opinions into consideration, and when is it not? What do you guys think?
Well, so I don't know. So was somebody else jumping in? I'll just say this really quickly then. For me, over the last year or so, a little over a year, me going through my mindset shift journey, really I've learned the key to that answer for me, Samantha, is expectations. Um, Broadly, people's opinions or perceptions of you kind of matter, especially like those of us who are building a home business or building a business, right? When it comes to influence and building sort of an audience or follower base or everything, clearly perception is important. But literally, you can look at our politics today in America and you can say, literally, whatever, if it comes from within, no matter what, there's a tribe of people for you. So I think it comes down to your expectations. And if you are expecting people to have a certain feeling, or if you're seeking a certain level of acceptance, then that's going to be the deciding factor which way it goes. I don't really care what people think about me per se, or I don't have an expectation that people are going to love or hate me. As long as I'm being really authentic and I'm being true to myself and I'm not doing it in a mean spirit, I think it's okay.
I'm going to agree with Christina on that as far as expectations. Sometimes, I can only speak for myself, and I remember when not even realizing that I was seeking validation, but when I was asking an opinion, or I wasn't getting the answer that I wanted. And sometimes I just wanted to get someone to be on my side. And it didn't happen that way. And then it was like double whammy for me because I didn't get what I was looking for and they weren't on my side. It's almost like when your boss is giving you a review and it's bonus time and you're expecting, great results and you're expecting to get your bonus. And when it doesn't happen, you sit down and you think like, okay, this is her opinion. She thinks I'm not doing good enough. She thinks I'm not doing well enough. Meanwhile, you're doing the best that you can't give anymore. Patience are just, you really could set yourself up to get hurt if you are expecting validation and expecting people's opinions to match with yours. You're going to get your feelings hurt. It's happened to me multiple times. That's why I am the way I am today. But thank you, Christina. That was really good. I agree 100%.
I'd like to hop on right there. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I think you're right, Julia. It depends on our state. If we're looking, our state of mind, if we're looking for validation, then when we get the opposite, it's going to affect us, really big. And then, of course, if we're feeling, down and expecting, disgrace or expecting, the opposite, then when someone gives us a compliment, it catches us off guard. So the whole thing seems kind of tricky, I think, at first because we're, we're just reacting and we're not, we're outside of what the Tao considers us to be our essence, and we're just reacting and we're going from one extreme to the other. So I guess what I'm getting out of this first part is that if we can stay within our center and be, ready for either the compliment or the negative, then we can react in a better way. Because how many times have you gotten a compliment and not reacted quite the right way because your state of mind wasn't in the receiving mode? That's happened for me lots of times because I'll be in my own head and someone will say something and it may be a great, a terrific compliment, and then I won't react quite right. And then now, of course, then that might change their opinion. Oh, Jason's this and this, but he can't take a compliment. And so I think we need to kind of take things with a grain of salt and understand on both sides whether we're having an opinion about someone else or we're experiencing an opinion from them, that we need to understand that our state of mind, both ours and theirs, has a has an influence on what we're perceiving. So, but yeah, it seems very tricky. It would be nice to have all this, to study this enough to where it's integrated into our habits and so that we react the right way each time. And I guess that's kind of where I'm trying to get with this. So this is actually a pretty potent verse.
Yeah, Jason, but wouldn't you say though also that, again, having an awareness of if it's not coming from externally, right? So someone can come at me with the wrong energy. Certainly, good Lord, we face it every day. When every day I go to work in corporate America, there's somebody that has the potential to make me feel some kind of way. Okay, and this week was a crazy week at work. But what I can say is where I am at in my mindset, which goes back to what you were just saying. Where I am in my mindset, I completely choose how I receive their energy, right? So I'm able to protect my energy. I'm able to protect my bandwidth, because if they coming at me sideways, whoa, wait a minute, you coming at me sideways? Like, let's talk about what the issues are. Let's see if I can meet you in the middle, and if I can't, we're copacetic. Just understand, look, I can't meet you in the middle here. But because I come from the place of I'm not coming from I feel like you're judging me. I don't feel like you hate me. I don't feel like you're mad at me. I don't feel none of that stuff. I just take it for what it is in that moment, and I'm being conscious of how I'm perceiving that energy. And I will literally say, if it feels like it's something kind of negative, then I will literally say, hey, that felt to me like this, and I certainly don't want to. I certainly don't want to make the wrong decision on whether or not, in fact, it was meant that way. So let me just ask you, right? That gives that other person the choice to come correct, but more importantly, it helps them sort of recognize in the moment, whoa, I was kind of coming at her wrong. Let me fix that, right? So it just gives everybody the opportunity to be adults, I think.
I think that's where the ego comes in, and in this verse, it does talk about ego. And oh, Christina, I know, girl, working for corporate America, where I would voice my opinion, and in the end, once again, I got my feelings hurt. And here was my ego, just like, I feel like punching you in your face, but that was not the case. Obviously, I wouldn't do something like that. But that's how I was feeling. And because I was looking for validation on what my opinion was, not getting it, and then getting my ego, getting my feelings hurt. So, but it does talk about the ego, as Christina was discussing. And it says, no ego means no trouble. Big ego equals big trouble. So, and that's on it's page 62 on the book. So, it does discuss a little bit more about the ego. And let me see here. You have to be in balance with the natural law of the universe, living with an independent mind in the spirit of the Tao. I think that it's okay to ask for the opinions of others. You just, based on my experience in my life and what I've learned is that, I choose who I'm gonna voice my opinion to. If I know that I'm dealing with someone who just wants to talk, or I know that they're not going to take my opinion for as good advice, then and it has nothing to do with my ego. I just will ask questions. I will ask them questions. I won't give them my advice so that they can answer their own questions. And I do seek opinions from those that I know deep down in my heart love me and want the best for me. That's one thing I learned during the years is, and I think we talked about this in a previous chapter, being careful, who you tell, your business to. And I think if you are surrounded by people who love you, it's okay to give them your opinion, to give them your advice. But if you don't have that, it's good to have that inner self guidance, to be able to trust what you feel in your gut, and go with that. And that's what I've been doing lately. There's a lot of things going on in my life, and I'm just like, let me just, not say anything, which are good things, but let me not say anything. And there are very few selective people that do know about things that are going on personally with me. And so once again, yeah, Christina, I believe the ego it plays a big role when it comes to voicing opinions. I didn't mean to get off track with that, but yeah, it's true. You have to be very careful who you voice your opinions to, and who you want to get opinions from. Because I think I mentioned that in Proverbs 12. I think it's in the blog. I can't get the blog now because if I do, it's gonna cut me off. But it does talk about, I think it's Proverbs 12 too, where fools have no understanding. They just want to voice their opinion. So be careful. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off track.
That's okay. No, you're fine. I thought you did good. I wanted to just bring up something else you wrote in your blog post. And by the way, you did a great job on that one. Thank you so much, Julia, for writing that for us. I mean, you were just kind of talking about this, but one of the things you asked in your blog post is for everyone to say, okay, what are you really looking for or expecting to hear when you ask someone for their opinion? Are you looking for that validation for your ego, or are you actually looking for advice in terms of, helping yourself to make a decision? There's a big difference, right? Because if you're just sitting there asking, you just want validation so it makes you feel better, then you obviously are lacking some level of confidence in yourself, like what Christina was saying earlier on about, you have to have that confidence in yourself, so that when you can be authentic versus trying to appease everybody else, right? But and your thanks for sharing that Bible verse. And yeah, it said fools have no interest in understanding, they only want to air their own opinions. I thought that was a good one. It's like some people just want to flap their gums, right? They don't even listen to what you're saying. They just want to talk. And by the way, welcome, Karen. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. What else I wanted to say? I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, Catherine. I see you jumping out there.
That's all right. Go ahead.
One of the things that kind of came up for me as we were kind of going through this was the difference between having an independent mind and having respect for other people's opinions. Because, of course, when someone has an opinion about how we should live our lives and that doesn't line up with our independent mind, then we don't necessarily want to listen to them. However, if somebody has an opinion about something that relates to them, then we should have respect for their opinions. So that's kind of, that was just one little thing that kind of came up for me. Go ahead and jump out, Catherine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to distinguish between opinion, advice, wisdom. There's a huge difference between asking someone for advice or taking wisdom from someone as opposed to getting their opinion of something. Opinions are a dime a dozen, and they're based on thoughts. And just like you said, Jason, it really completely depends on the situation, the environment, what's going on, as to what thoughts are going to be thought and what opinion is going to be made. You know what I mean? Because it could, if you're in a low energy, low vibration, depressed kind of state, and it's going to be a whole different situation than if you're not. So opinions of other people, if you let them, can destroy you. You know, if you give all your power away like that, and you place your value on what somebody else thinks of you, you can't control what somebody else thinks of you. Somebody's going to think whatever they want to think. You have absolutely no control. It doesn't matter. You could be like Mother Teresa, and somebody could find a reason not to like you, you know? So to base your entire value on what someone else thinks is really shaky ground. I mean, I know that people that we love, our parents and stuff like that, I mean, we're kind of, as small children, we're very much raised in this mindset of, you know, be good, be a good girl, be a good boy, so that mommy loves you, you know, basically is like how it comes off to a kid, right? That's not really, it's not like they're not going to love you if you're bad, but when you're a kid, you don't know that, right? You just think, gosh, if I'm not good, or if I don't give the right answer, they don't love me. So this is programmed really deep in us, but it's something that as you get older and you start questioning how the universe works, once you realize, because I'm sure everybody here on the panel, in the audience, has had an opinion of something or someone, and then later, upon getting more information, or maybe getting out of the mood they were in, you know, we've changed that opinion, right? So opinions can change on a whim, and but it's a hard one to get over, because it is programmed from like the time that we can ever remember. We're taught to follow a certain route, to be more accepted, to be normal. You know, all of these terms that we use in our societies. And people go to jail, right, if they break some of these things. So it's a strong one, but it's so important, because your worth can only come from yourself. You know, you can't find your worth anywhere else but in your heart. And the last couple of pieces of this verse talk about, if you could, I don't remember exactly, but if you could love the world like yourself. Ideally, I think that's beautiful wisdom. However, I don't think any of us love ourselves nearly as much as we need to. Most of us love other people more than we love ourselves. So that's a whole nother discussion right there.
Ooh,
I'll let somebody else
made
talk
me
about.
have like about 5 different thoughts. That's good. Go ahead, Don. I'll let you go, and then I'll say what I had to say.
No, Catherine just kind of jogged a little nugget inside my brain when she was saying that there about, you know, how we perceive other people's and their opinions and all that, and that's exactly what, you know, and she was right. But your parents, and I realize everybody, we wish it was like that, but see, my father was like, as you know, I know you guys hear me refer to my parents a lot. It's because, let me say this, and maybe this will help you out. When they left me, I thought, well, I was totally not like this. I'll be honest with you. I went into a very, very dark place. But that's when their wisdom of their what they would say to me as a child would come back and say to me. I would hear that. It's like I would hear it inside of me. No, you'll be okay. Don't forget what Daddy said. That's your protector. Well, see, it just began to help me come up and realize that, and there again, surrounding myself with people. And if I would ask a person a question or opinion or advice, it was not necessarily to get there, like you said, it just perfectly. I asked, like Catherine and I was talking one day on an interview there, and this is going to bring it around, so maybe you guys can understand what I'm saying. Is I had that insecurity so strong, and then as I grew into adult, I still understood it, but that one time when Catherine asked me that question, and I think she'll remember that, it's like it was a done deal for me there, because now when I'm talking to a person, and I'll hold back. I really hold back for a lot of reasons. Not that I'm afraid. It's just because I seek for the understanding, I seek for the wisdom, and I may come back and ask that person, was there something I said that may have didn't strike you just right? Because this, have you ever heard the saying, first impression is the last impression? Now, to me, this is just my opinion, but in my spirit, first impression is not the lasting impression for me, and it's just not. That's all I want to say on that.
Well, most people aren't like you're a very pure, understanding, and loving person, and so if more people could be like that, Donna, then we would have a better world, right? Um, I wrote down, like, I scribbled like 3 points so I wouldn't forget it, because Catherine really made me think of a lot of things. First of all, when you were talking about your parents and what you start to feel as a child or whatever, literally that lasts like a lifetime. And what we don't recognize is how much we set our kids up to become adults who then continue to perpetuate that conditional love. I know me personally, and it's kind of weird because I was recently just talking about, I literally just posted a video on my YouTube channel about this last night that spoke to this last night, but I've come to a place where for me, I've been that hero, right? I've been that really good kid that always did everything that everybody wanted. I was very much aware that when I achieved something good, my parents, my home was happy, and they could live vicariously through me. And while I felt that was a bit of a burden, I was more than happy to take that on, because I'm just the hero, right? Like, I really suffer from the hero syndrome, so I'm good with that. And so it perpetuated my entire life. I literally, as an adult, I got to a point where I was like, I want to tell my parents, look, I don't feel this way about this thing that you feel, and I was afraid. And literally at now, I'm in my late 30s, and I'm like, okay, it's ready to tell the peeps, like, because I now understand, having done the work to get my own self-worth and to love myself, I now understand it's not a matter of me. My parents are going to love me no matter what. But I was seeking acceptance, and I was confusing acceptance and love. And it's okay if they don't accept me or my thoughts, my feelings on something. It's okay, because they're still going to love me. And because I'm not looking for their validation to be whole, then if they decide I don't accept that and I don't want to be a part of her life, I can deal with that too, because I know they still love me. I know God loves me. And more importantly, for the first time, like, I'm truly loving me. Which brings me to my next point. Because literally, was it Catherine? I don't one of you said something about we love the world more than we love ourselves. And I don't know. I asked the question, how much can I love the world? How much can I love someone else if I don't love me? Lisa Nichols had made a quote one day, and she was saying that we are the first example of how to love us. Well, if I don't know how to love me, I don't know what love looks like other than condition. If I can't love me first, how am I going to love somebody else? How am I going to teach that agape type love if I can't give myself that? Just a question, just curious.
I think we practice on other people. And in the process of giving the love and care and attention to someone else, that's how we learn to love ourselves. But I agree with you. We do have to love ourselves fully before we can truly love someone else. But I think we get there by practicing on other people, because we're all one. So we're still loving ourselves when we're loving somebody else, right?
That's an interesting concept. I'm gonna mull that one over. I'll mull that one over. That's good, because I was thinking, well, if not, then literally unknowingly I might be perpetuating this whole conditional love thing. That's a good take. I'm gonna work on that one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a reflection of partially how we feel, definitely how we feel about ourselves, because sometimes I notice that I'll feel, stronger, or have a stronger sort of aura of protection in terms of how I feel people's statements affect me. Sometimes I'll feel really strong about myself, and so I can take quite a bit, and it'll just mostly roll off my back. I think someone was mentioning mean-spiritedness, and that sort of goes to another level where sometimes it feels like it hurts if it's like something that's just downright mean-spirited or doesn't seem right. And sometimes it's related to something that's going on within. So it depends on how we feel, and there's a few things going on there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sandy. I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I was a little bit late. Yeah, you all have awesome points, and I'm thinking of these scenarios in my life where I've reached out for other opinions, and it just created more confusion for me. I was thinking of one recently, like a relationship I was in, and I had two very good friends who I trust. Their opinion had completely different opinions on this relationship issue I was going through, and it just boggled my mind. And I'm like, which is right? And, you know, everybody's opinion, like I think you had said, Julie, or maybe Catherine, I forget, but you all have great points. You know, like other people's opinions are based on their experience and what they know and what they're going through and their beliefs. And so it ended up really confusing me. And I'm like, well, which one's right? And well, maybe I should try doing this way. But it didn't resonate with me, and I'm still thinking about it. And it's, in the end, I knew what was right for me. I knew the answer for myself, but these opinions were sort of pulling me in different directions, and like, okay, yeah, maybe I should try it this way. And it just ended up creating so much more confusion and prolonging of something that maybe shouldn't have been prolonged because I didn't go with what I knew. And I think a lot of times opinions can do that. And, you know, we're talking a lot about parents and conditioning too. And, you know, the opinions of my mother in particular really put me on a track that I wouldn't have chosen until my later life, when I said, you know what, I need to choose for myself. And I had to sort of push her opinion out because it kept putting me on tracks that weren't my calling because I was following her advice. And so, yeah, it's really, you know, we do know everything within. When we tune in, we know the answers for ourselves. And like you were saying, Julia, we really have to be careful who we share our, you know, stuff with, because people's opinions can really damage somebody or put you on the wrong track if it's going against your own knowing. Like I felt like I have done a few times. Like gone on this different track that I knew wasn't for me. Maybe it's for them, and that's why it's their opinion, but it wasn't for me, and sort of threw me off and put me on this other track, and instead of going with what I truly knew. So yeah, and like you said, Catherine, there's the difference between opinions and advice and wisdom, and so definitely knowing what you're receiving and giving on that end is important. So thank you, everyone, for all the good points.
Oh, you're welcome. It's just to piggyback off of what you were saying, Sandy. You know, you have to be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, okay? And you're going to get an opinion, and you're just not, you know, you're not going to like it. Or it's like she said, it's going to mess you up and delay your process of growth, and all kinds of stuff is going to be happening. You know, it's just like, when you take someone's opinion and at the end you say, damn, I knew I shouldn't have listened to her. I knew I shouldn't have listened. That's your inner self telling you not to listen to that person's opinion. Something is happening in that process. And if you ignore it, what your inner guidance is telling you, you're not going to get the results that you want. And you're going to end up saying, I knew I shouldn't have listened. I knew it. And what did you know? It was your gut feeling telling you. So, you know, just like I said, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And when it comes to other people's opinions of you, and I know it's been mentioned multiple times, and it says it in this verse. Oh, and I highlighted it. Oh, God, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Okay, your true nature will replace the pursuit of external favor with the awareness that what others think of you is really none of your business. What matters is what you think about yourself, what you think about your surroundings, being true to yourself, being true to your to believing in yourself and your capabilities. And what other people think, it doesn't really matter. Their opinion is their opinion. Say, hey, I respect that, but I'm just gonna, find some way to be respectful of their opinion. You just have to know you don't have to agree with them. And if your gut instinct is telling you that something is wrong, you gotta listen to that. And you'll know the difference, especially now. Like when I talk to my brother, and he'll give me his opinion, and I'll say, oh wow, I never thought of it that way. It's like I get a feeling inside that lets me know that that's good. But when I'm talking to someone else, you'll get that gut feeling that tell you what's right and what's wrong. So that's all I wanted to say. So be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Okay.
I literally was just thinking, I was thinking that when Sandy was talking, and and to kind of put a bridge between what both of you were saying, Julia, like for me, I'm thinking, but if I'm asking for, it's important to be really, keep it real with self, right? Because sometimes we ask opinions, and we don't really want opinions, we're seeking validation. We've made up our minds, and most often, as humans, we don't want somebody else's opinion, we want validation of what we think and feel and want. And that's okay, let's just call a thing. So then when somebody does provide you something that's opposite, for me, if somebody provides me some feedback and I'm like, it's not, I don't know, I've gotten to a place where it doesn't confuse and overwhelm me as much because I'm very present in the moment. I'm very aware of this is what I want to do or this is what I'm thinking of doing, and I would like somebody else to maybe validate whether it's a good idea or not. But because I'm in that moment and because I'm open, because when I truly go to someone open for the feedback, then I can I can take what they tell me and I can glean from it what I need to then go take action on what my decision is, and then I can leave the rest where it is. I don't have to get overwhelmed or confused about is it right or wrong, because I don't know if there's really a right or wrong. I think it's quite fluid where you are in this moment. And if your word is equal to your deed, then it's okay. So if you change where you are and you communicate, I've made a change, I've changed where I am, I've changed my understanding of something, and this is what I'm thinking, again, there's no right or wrong. It's all on a kind of a fluid kind of, I don't know, spectrum. It's just my thoughts.
I agree, Christina, and you've shared some amazing points in this discussion this morning. Thank you so much. I think that you really sent it home, or really sent that point home to everybody that it's about what's right for you or what feels good for you in any given situation, and it can change from moment to moment. But I love how you talked about your experience with your family and how you were being that champion for them because you thought that was what you're supposed to do, and you were okay with it because you thought that's what you're supposed to do. But then when you gain that confidence in your own opinions and your own life and all of your own decisions, is that then all of a sudden it was like it didn't matter what the other people thought. It was about what you thought of yourself and your self-value, and I thought that was a really great point that you made. Thank you. That's all I have to say for now.
So then what do we do when opinions really do matter? I mean, in this world we live in, it seems that, the opinions of certain people, at least in our lives, really do matter and can affect our life. So, we have to, it's kind of difficult to remain in the Tao state of mind, but then also be aware and receptive of other people's opinions, so that we're reacting to them correctly and having the correct interactions with the people whose opinions do matter. Like in business, we have there might be a certain perception, and if we're not aware of that, or we're not able to address it, if we're just like, oh, I don't care what those people think, I know myself, and I'm, then how does that help us in the world and interacting with others? And because I have had instances where I've just not really, I'm like, I understand people can have their opinions, and I'm pretty confident in myself, and not really, just wanted to get things done and make things work for everyone, but not really having the time and the energy to go around putting out fires of other people's opinions of me, and so, but I've had that where that hasn't worked out in my favor. It's worked out negatively, because then people are like, well, I don't get this person because he's not reacting to my opinions, so, they think they don't know what's going on in your head, or they don't understand you, because maybe you have this air of confidence that they don't recognize. And because we can't go. At least for me, I've found that when I ignore other people's opinions, and sometimes it comes back to bite me in the end. So, what do you guys think?
I think that's a great question, Jason. That's like the question of, like, you get the question of the morning award on that one. And so, oh, that's so awesome, because I literally have just been speaking about this stuff. Literally, I was on a conference call yesterday, and Sean Smith, he's all into neuro-linguistics and all the NLP stuff, and he was talking about fear and how literally someone who's attacking or being negative, they're doing it because there's a void, a weakness in them, and they see that the positive that they want for themselves in another person that they bully, right? So they go after that bully to try to take from the other person what they feel that they have a void of, right? Going to, like, when you were talking about how do I do that and how do I ignore it, I think I've come to understand for myself, because I've over the years done a lot of, I ain't even gonna talk to that. Like, I'm not even gonna talk to that. Here's the problem with it. I don't talk to it, but I expect someone else to know what the hell I'm thinking and feeling. Well, no, that's unfair. That's setting them up. Of course they're going to get in their feelings, because I've set up a precedent of being this person, of communicating this way, of feeling this way, and all of a sudden I switch it up. I don't validate them in any way. I don't validate that I've at least heard them in any way, and so now they feel as though I'm shunning them, I'm ignoring them, or whatever. So I'm feeding that by trying not to feed it, right? So for me, I've learned to go just communicate, because there's a blindness there. If I create the blindness, I can't be mad at somebody else because they're reacting to the blindness. So to answer your question, for me, it's a matter. I'm still ongoing with this. I'm growing with this, but it's starting to work out with me that I make the decision that I just communicate to them. This is where I used to be. This is where I am now. We don't have to be like kumbaya about it. Just understand I'm in a different place. And with love, I'm going to respect that you're in a different place. Where we can come together, cool. Where we can't, that's copacetic too. There's no right or wrong to it. But it's a matter of communicating. And I think often what happens is we don't communicate. As humans, we're not taught to, because we're taught to, let me protect myself. I'm not going to tell everybody my business, because if I tell her this, she's going to respond to that, and if I tell him this, he's going to respond like that. And we're all trying to do this whole Rubik's Cube, figuring out the end of the formula, right? And what may or may not in all the scenarios, and how we're going to fit ourselves into that box, versus just being authentic right now and giving everybody else the choice to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I agree, Christine. I think communication is the key in all of those situations, because you got to understand, not everybody's going to have the same opinion about everything. And sometimes the people that you're involved with are going to have some kind of control over the outcome of what happens in your daily life, you know, if it's work and that sort of thing. So you have to, like you said, you've got to communicate with those people, because if you don't, then yeah, you set yourself up for confrontations and every other thing under the sun. But you know, I think that you also have to kind of decide, you know, okay, what are the things where the opinions really make a difference, and where are they that they don't? You know, if we're talking about working in a company and we have company policies that have to be followed, and it's your boss's opinion of whether or not you're following those, then you have to respect that opinion. You don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to be necessarily happy about it. But, you know, if you don't agree with it, like what Christina was saying, is you can express your thought process to that other person and say, look, I don't agree with this. This is why I don't agree with it. However, I am going to follow along with company policy because that's what I have to do, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you've got to just keep that line of communication open, even when other people don't, because that's kind of part of it too, is because not everybody is good at communicating. Not everybody is good at recognizing all of these different dynamics of our thought processes and our opinions versus our feelings versus being respectful versus all of those things. And that's kind of part of why we sit here and we do this personal development, so that we can see all those different aspects and respect what other people are going through, knowing that sometimes they're just not going to see it. It's all going to be emotional for them. And so, you know, I mean, when we're able to have that thought process in our own mind and we're able to communicate our feelings, as we help everybody. That's my thought on it. Yeah, be an example. I like what you posted in the comments there, Christina. Be the example. That's what we're going for, and that's where it talks about in the verse where it's saying, let's see here. Well, I mean, it kind of talks about one who sees himself as everything is fit to be a guardian of the world, or one who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of the world. And I think that's what it's kind of trying to tell us, is that when we learn and we grow, then we can help others learn and help others grow. Now, not by confronting them and saying, you need to learn how to be a better communicator. You know, that's not going to help anything. It's just by being an example. I think there's a comment over here on the page. Let me see who's commenting. Oh, Heidi has shared a couple of things. She was saying the opinions of others nearly ruined her life, and of course she doesn't need it anymore for self-worth, which is wonderful. And then she also says, this book helped me a lot with dealing with this. These hangouts also, you guys are awesome. We love you too, Heidi. Thanks for hanging out with us. Looks like we're coming up on the top of the hour here. Everybody want to share just kind of their final thoughts on opinions of others, and you know, how they can affect us, and what your final thoughts on that before we wrap up?
Well, this can go really deep. this, you know, we always think, oh, this little verse, how can we discuss that for an hour? And yet when we get to the end of the hour, we could obviously discuss it for another hour. When you find that confidence, when you find that self-love within yourself, oftentimes the people around you change, or at least it appears that they do, because now you're looking at it through different eyes. So you will never, ever, ever change someone's opinion of you, no matter how much you try. So just don't even go there. But as you learn to love yourself, people will not have to mirror things at you to show you where you don't. That's all I'll say. Have a great week. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I just want to, there was a quote that I saw, I can't remember who said it, but I did post it last night on my Facebook page. But it says if you fuel your gas on the opinions of others, you will run out of gas. It was something to those terms. And, once again, I'm just going to end with, trust your inner self, your gut feeling, let it guide you. And if you do ask for the opinion of someone else and you're not in agreement with it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go with it. There is a way. You just got, once again, just trust your inner self, and basically that's it.
My final thought on it was in that little thing I wrote there, just say, hey, you just realizing, like we just said here, your inner spirit is like, hey, I'm not what you think I should be, but that's not going to stop me from respecting you of your, and I like that, Catherine, that validation. That's not going to, that's just not going to change that, because like Samantha said, folks is going to blabber their gum, and we talked about you don't have any, but basically what it is you do have control over is your independent mind. Now you have control. That one thing you can control, and you can love people where they're at. And when you ask for their opinion or their advice or their validation, just realize, be grown enough to receive what you get back in that conversation. And if it doesn't feel just right, if it just feels like it's just, then just kind of take a breath, go back, step back, and come back and say, look, that what you said, can we talk about that again? I didn't quite understand that. Can we just, let's go back to that. That always helps me out, guys. It really does.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, there. And Donna, to give ourselves a little bit of space sometimes. And I really appreciate that answer from Christina too. We do the work, if we recognize this. For me, I'm going to do some more work and really kind of figure out, what is going to be my reaction to these opinions from others, or to these questioning type of phrases from others, and to realize, so that when I am in my own head, in my own space, in my own, in my own flow, that I'm prepared to step out of it and recognize the other person's opinion, their thoughts, and give them, that recognition, I guess, that they might be looking for, and they want their opinion validated, I guess. So, and to be able to give us that space to say, what, I don't really understand where you're coming from with that, but we can talk about that later. That'd be great, because I'm kind of busy doing this, or so that we can come across the correct way. Because we may not care about others' opinions, but they do have an effect in our lives, even if we're not aware of them. Or they might be. We might be wondering, why is this relationship not working? The right. What am I not seeing here? And like Christina said, they can't read our mind. We can't really read their mind, but we might want to think that we can understand what they're thinking about us, but we probably don't. So if we can take the time to communicate, and give ourselves that space to receive it and understand it, and then communicate our thoughts about it with them, then if we're prepared, we can do that. But we have to do the work, and that's what I'm finding out with a lot of this stuff, is that it's one thing to hear it, but then at least I have to go back and do the work myself personally to ingrain this pattern of being receptive and open, but still continue on my path. And that's something I'm working on. So and you guys are helping me do that. So I really appreciate being on this panel, and it's great to see others getting involved as well. I really like that.
I'll just be really quick with mine. Having had a situation with someone that I care about a lot, a while back, things just kind of went left field out of nowhere. It was very hurtful. It's very painful. I personally felt that there was no way to communicate with that person at the time in a way that they would receive it. I've now come to doing some growing. I recognized I had to take a step back from that situation because I wasn't in a place where I could give them the grace to communicate openly because I wanted them to see my way. So I couldn't enter into a conversation with them without judgment, without analyzing their feedback, their expression or anything. I couldn't come at them with really openness so that we can find a middle ground of where and establish how our friendship can move forward. Because I wanted them to see my way. I wanted them to understand how their response hurt me. Now I'm at a place where I don't seek to have a conversation with them because I want them to see my way. I seek to have a conversation with them to just really simply communicate. The door is still open. We can establish a new kind of relationship and see if we can't have a communication, just an open communication, not a you're right, I'm wrong, you're right kind of thing. So I think that that's something that it will be huge for people to take away as really just being clear on what energy you're bringing to a conversation or to a situation.
Yeah, that's really good. Everybody's had really great statements and ideas this morning, and thank you guys for this Saturday morning mastermind. Appreciate being here. Thanks a lot.
Everybody have an opportunity? Great. Okay, guys, thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts and opinions, your insights on this chapter. It amazes me how many different insights that we gain from this every week, and I appreciate you all so very much. And thank you, Karen, and thank you, Heidi, for hanging out with us as well. And we look forward to next week. We're going to be talking about verse 14. And this one will be discussing living beyond form. So that should be a really interesting topic as well. So meet us here again at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com every week at 10 a.m. Eastern. Please like our video, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Google+. And with that, have an awesome and amazing weekend, guys. And we'll see you next week here on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.
Later.